to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running.
Hey guys, welcome to the RunRX podcast. Valerie is on the line with me, and we're going to have a conversation today about what I call like runner's perfectionism. Maybe we can call it OCD, that having to do everything just so, right? I think you've seen this, Valerie. I don't know if you were ever as neurotic as I was, but I used to be the type that was, if my Garmin said I was at 4.98, I had to run around my driveway to get me up to the 5.0. Yeah, exactly. Or if my plan said, the great example that we've talked about before is if my plan said I needed to run 10 miles, but by 7 miles my hip was hurting me and it was hot and I was feeling awful and I ran out of water, whatever the case may be, I felt like I couldn't stop. Like I was somehow hurting myself by running more. So I wanted to talk to you today about kind of that perfectionism and then learning this new movement and how that affects that kind of need to be perfect. Can you talk about that?
Sure. Well, and I want to say too, most of us are type A runners and we are so scheduled, like I have this much time and I want to get this much of a run in. So then we've already kind of set up an expectation, whether it's we want to run a certain distance or whether we want to run a certain pace. We're not thinking at all about the movement. We're thinking about getting the run done. And then, like you said, you're more concerned with the numbers on the watch than anything else. Like, did I get my run in? See what I mean? And then we start to think my high or my satisfaction or my success is that I got the run done.
Yeah.
How many miles, it's the same thing. It's like, how many miles did you get in? How many miles did you run? How, and it becomes this feeling of, I've got to get more miles or I've got to get out there and run. And then we forget about really what running is. So then all of a sudden, when your body says, hey, all this running you're doing, and I'm really upset with you, I'm, your knee, your hip, whatever, all of a sudden it's failure, one, because I can't get my run in. And then second, all of a sudden I'm having to think about my movement, which also interferes because this is also more work, right? And so then because I'm, again, though, that person that gets up every morning at 5 a.m. and gets my run done, then when we get people say coming into RunRX, they're like, okay, I'm going to work on that running thing you talked about. How many miles can I run today? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we see that. And so I think the first shift is to think that it's not the perfectionism or the success isn't so much in the running distance or the running volume or the running speed, but the actual running itself.
Right. And that was something that you and I had talked about not too long ago, where part of that mindset shift isn't about how far did you go, how fast did you go, but how did it feel? Hey, how did that feel? Did it feel good? Was it a easy run? Did you feel like you were light? That's what we try to get you to start thinking about when you start working with us.
Right. And then that connection, because running is hard, right? So we're taught that. And by the way, running is challenging in 100%. It's cardiovascular, it's high impact. You're out there, it's you against you in the road, you know what I mean? So all of that's there. So then all of a sudden I'm like, but how did you feel? And you're like, what do you mean? How did I feel? I was out of breath and my legs hurt.
Right. And sweaty.
So much of us have equated running with suffering. And then we're like, no, you suffering because you ran really fast and your heart rate went up isn't the same as my shins, my knees, I'm hurting. So then we're like, no, you've got to reconnect with what is running itself. And that's the challenge with us, by the way, is that we come in and first of all, we totally shift how you think about running, right? And then we give you these and then all of a sudden you're self-conscious. And that's a huge problem for people that are type A and perfectionists, is all of a sudden I'm going to make you feel awkward in something you used to feel comfortable doing.
Right. Right. And they feel awkward because they're learning a new movement. And it's been because they've been actually not thinking about how they're moving, right? They've not been thinking about using gravity or muscle elasticity. They've been thinking things like my shin hurts, my hip hurts, my knees hurt. Boy, that's a big hill, had a fight with my boss today, right? They're thinking all these other, they're not actually present with what's going on. Like we talk about, present within where their body is, like within their environment, they tune out, right?
And when you talk to, like, right now, the track and field's going on, the Olympics, it's so exciting to watch these people that have been waiting for now 5 years, right, to get a chance to go back.
Right.
And the amount of work that they've put in, for this one race, for this one day, and we don't see that. We've talked about this a lot. We see that one race they run. We don't see the hours and hours and hours and hours of the training and everything that goes into what they're putting in, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we see that, and that's of course at the high level, but the only way they're able to perform at that level is to put in the skill, the strength, the self-care, the nutrition, everything they do around it. So then I always think, for us, we expect our bodies to perform at high levels, which when running is a high level activity, when maybe we worked all week and we're tired and we got kids, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah. You have other things. And I talked about this in a Tough Love Tuesday recently, about that idea that, we do other things, right? We think, okay, my back is hurting me because I went running yesterday. But did you come home from running and then weed your garden? Right? Did you sit in your office all day and not get up? And so your body is now stiff, or you know what I'm saying? We were talking about the changing of the movement. And so people assume that it's the running that's causing them pain, right? They assume that it's that, but they're not looking at the totality of what they're doing in their life. And of course, they're not coming into the perception of what's happening in their body while they're trying to learn a new movement.
Right. Which I will say is one of the best things I've always thought. In fact, by the way, this is really cool. Somebody reached out yesterday, and they've been doing RunRX now since 2018. They did the course and they've been, constantly practicing or consistently practicing. And she said, I just want you to know how my runs are now what I call happy. She said, sometimes they're fast. She said, I'm running, as fast as I feel good, but the happiness in my run. And she said, and it's because I take the time to I still do my warm up. And one of the things that we tell people all the time, it's the consistency of practice that shows up in your performance. This is why people have practice as part of their training. And most of us as runners, as the average workout person, somehow thinks that we are above that. And we're not. We need warm-ups, we need cool downs, we need all of it.
Well, it's that idea that I can just put on my shoe, lace up my shoes and just one step out the door, right?
Yeah, just get out there and pound yourself. But real quick, I just want to say, one of the things that we really stress from day one when you come into RunRX is it's not how much time I spend practicing, it's how much I spend focusing during my practice. And most of our practices are like 10 to 15 minutes. So imagine if you spent 10 minutes out of your day practicing your running, thinking about your running, not while you're running, when you're not running, so that when you're running, you're running.
Yeah, I was going to say, getting into that same, you said the word, the how. We get so many people that are like, well, how do I pull my foot? How do I place my foot? How do I fall? How, right? And it's not about the how, really, is it? Because what I try to talk about from a mindset standpoint is your muscle elasticity isn't a how, it's a reaction, right? It's a reflective response. Isn't that how am I saying it right?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we still have a job to do. It's just the main thing is we need to only focus on our job. Our job is to pull our foot up from the ground. That's our job in response to ground contact. Meaning instead of looking, so I think the real question isn't how, because everyone's stuck on how do I put my foot down? And then we're telling you, you don't. The second you put your foot down, the second you put your foot down, you just stopped your movement. So then there's no more running happening. You're just stopped. So one of the things that you guys have to understand is we're teaching you what's called a concept of movement that I didn't know either. That's what I keep telling you. I'm not some genius. I didn't figure it out. But once you learn it, you realize, it makes so much sense. However, instead of anyone that's ever developed a new habit knows, you don't just simply think about I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to smoke. They all start eating carrots or chewing on toothpicks. So what's it we do? We help you develop the correct movement pattern for your run, which is absolutely a natural response in running. But first you have to develop the elasticity. You see what I mean? Like that's what we take you through. Being able to do running, being able to run, being able to hold your shoulders over your hips. And this is where everyone got stuck, unfortunately, is that when you get injured, you go see the PT or whoever, and they're like, oh, you have tight hips. They don't talk to you about your movement. So you could stretch your hips all day, but if you're not running correctly, every time you run, guess what? You're putting your hip probably where it shouldn't be.
Right. Let's talk about that for a second, because we as RunRX, we are more than just the skills to run correctly. We also add the strength and the self-care. And one of the things that we really do stress in the membership is not strength for strength's sake. It's strength for your running to be able to move properly. And we're finding that a lot of people aren't moving correctly.
At all.
Isn't that at all, right?
Like not even to sit in a chair.
Right, to squat. That's what we were talking about. Just simple squats, simple lunges, simply
push-ups, sit-ups.
Yeah, push-ups, sit-ups. Yeah, that there is a correct movement for that. And we really focus on, yes, it's a push. How will a push-up help you run? It's going to be holding your body. And what is it? You say 68% of my weight is from my hips. To my head, right? My head is what, 30 pounds of that, right? So we got to hold up a lot of weight. And if I have a little extra weight. We've talked about this too. I have a little extra weight, so I'm having to hold up more than say you are, because I'm holding 30 pounds more than you. So I have to, not that I have to work harder, I just have to be more aware. Is that correct?
Well, you're working harder all the time.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality. But that's the thing. It's like, and this is what everyone should, especially you think about it, you're balancing. It's a reverse triangle, right? You're balancing on the ball of your foot when you're running. Your foot's on the ground. You are balancing your body weight. If you're out of balance at all, then it's over. The second you're out of balance, you're unfortunately unable to fall. So then you're going to reach, push, have a leg. There's all these things that are going to happen. So we talk about just being balanced on your own body weight is something you should be doing anyway, right? When you walk,
right? When
you stand, things like that. So that's what we teach you also is no matter what your body weight, you can balance your own body weight. And that's what's so fun for people when they talk about, like, people want to use weight as a either excuse for not running. Oh, I can't run. I'm not made for running. I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're standing up right now. I guarantee you we could get you running. It may not be, and so that's what people should also understand is that just practicing what we're helping you practice as you're getting more. I mean, Caroline's doing this right now as she is working to her ability, right? So you're practicing the skill you can do, the strength you can do, not trying to run any distance. She does a skill drill plus short run. And already I would say in the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's amazing to see how much improvement we've already seen.
Right. And I got to tell you guys, and I haven't told Valerie this, so this is an expose on our podcast right now, is that the bulk of my practice has been with her. When I'm at home, I'm stretching, I'm doing my self-care, I'm doing my my warm-ups, right? I'm standing in pose, but I'm not actually running at home. I'm listening to every single live she does. We do the podcast, we do this work. And so what I'm telling you is that it's through my perception of what she's saying. It's watching her when she's talking through her lives. It's doing what she just talked about, thinking about my running daily so that when I do go to run with her, she sees a marked improvement. I know you guys think I'm crazy, but I kind of want to prove the fact that you don't have to go out and run 10 miles. You can actually think for 10 minutes, run for 10 minutes, and see improvement. Or am I crazy? Did I just totally blow your mind there?
No, but I want people to know. I think that hi, by the way, this is really important because we do online. So we always want to say to people, you don't need to be with Valerie. She's with you anyway, because I'm not going with you on your run. Caroline doesn't run with me. She comes to my my workout class at the gym. So inside her workout, I put running in or running drills. Now, by the way, these workouts are also available in our membership. What people have to understand is I see you through the video check-ins. That's how we communicate. And we have live Zooms. I can watch you. And the reality is that she's right. If you just start to think about what it is that you're doing when you're practicing, then it's so great to be able to come back and say, here's what I felt. And then we have a discussion. Let me show you what it looked like. And then I can help you correct, because I'm telling you, we've seen it all. I've seen it all. People come into the membership and it's the tight hips, the plantar fasciitis, all of these things, and they're all limiters, meaning you're limiting your own movement because you think you shouldn't, move a certain way because I have this, right?
Right.
So
right. You become your injury.
Right. And Caroline's not training for a race. And Caroline right now really doesn't care to go out and run 3 or 4 days a week. So just keep in mind, she is seriously in a phase where she's like, I really want to just develop a good perception of my movement, ability to move, and then increase when I can, which, by the way, everybody that's injured is exactly how they should do it. Whether you've never run or you're coming back from injury, that's how we all should do it. And then those of us that are like, hey, I want to run every day, I want to do a marathon, I want to do whatever, that's awesome. We want all of those runners. However, we tell everyone the same thing. You've got to spend the first 2 to 3 weeks at least thinking about your movement, not just going out and doing it. And people will say, oh, I'm getting behind in my practice. And I'm like, you can't get behind in your thoughts. If once a day you would walk over to a wall and fall, you don't need to have running shoes on even. It's just connecting with your own body is so amazing for running.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to tell you that, is I know you had said you'd seen improvement, and I know you see me about twice a week, but you didn't know that what I was doing when I wasn't with you was actually just listening to you, was watching you, was basically trying to absorb you through osmosis, because I am a big proponent of what you think, right? What you think is what you will create. And we tell our members that all the time, and we're getting great response from people that are like, you're right, I got out of my head, I started thinking this is fun, and this is great, and we're getting great response. But then we still have the people that are stuck in the how, and that's where I kind of wanted to share with everybody that I'm in that the what am I thinking phase, what is she really saying phase. Can I imagine what that would feel like? How will it feel when it comes time for me when it's not hopefully 95 degrees, but I can go out and just run, and the only thing that's hard is my breathing.
Right. And to not be afraid to have to think or to connect. And I think some people, we say this a lot, but if you're listening to a podcast, hopefully it's RunRX, but if you're running and listening to music or listening to an audio book, you're not thinking about your running. So then you should go back a little bit and think, sometimes I should really just run, because running and literally connecting with running, you have to focus. And I'm telling you, I used to laugh because people would say, well, how long do I have to think? And I'm like, well, the rest of your life. But when I run, I tell people when you watch, like even I've just been having fun with track and field. They don't have watches on, guys, before they run. In the warm up, they got their earbuds on, they're getting in the zone, all of that kind of stuff. But when you run, like, have you run ever and just not had music on? Have you ever run and not talked to your friends? Just look around you, start to connect with the feeling of running. And I'm telling you, you start to really look forward to the feeling of running. And that's what I feel like people miss out on. If I never really connect with what free falling is and what running is, I've never really gotten there.
Yeah. And that was going to be the one thing that I kind of wanted to throw this out there for everybody that's maybe saying, yeah, whatever, Caroline. Yeah. I'm going to challenge you to the fact that gravity will work on you, whether you're a person, whether you're a big person, a small person, whether you're a rock or a lemur, right? Gravity is working all the time, and it is indiscriminate of where you live, what time of year it is, right? Gravity is always working. So you need to trust that it's there. You can't see it, right? You can't see it. You just know it's there, and you can't take it personally. You can't say, well, I can't do this because I'm a big girl, or I'm a slow runner, or I have bad hips. No, it's gravity, guys. It's gravity.
Right.
So
Right.
it's going to work regardless. And that's what I want to challenge you with as you go out on your runs this week, is thinking about, as she said, free falling and where's my fall point, and just starting to get to know gravity and realize that gravity works. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.